Most people hear the phrase "nice guys finish last" and assume it is a cynical slogan, some bitter observation muttered by men who feel overlooked. The truth is more complicated, and far more psychological. Nice guys rarely lose because they are kind, they lose because the version of kindness they perform is built on fear, longing, and an unspoken contract that the other person never agreed to. What looks soft on the surface often has a rigid core underneath, a script they cling to because they do not trust themselves to be wanted without it. At the center of the nice guy pattern is a deep avoidance of conflict. These men learn early that love feels conditional, that approval is safer than authenticity, and that the quickest way to avoid being hurt is to play small. They grow up believing that their value comes from being agreeable, useful, harmless. So they smooth over their edges. They mute their desires. They live in constant anticipation of what others might need. They become so skilled at reading the room that they forget how to read themselves. On the outside this looks like kindness, but it is really a survival strategy. Niceness is the armor they wear to keep rejection at bay. The irony is that this very armor is what creates the distance they are trying to avoid. You cannot feel close to someone who never risks being known. You cannot build chemistry with a person who refuses to show any part of themselves that could provoke friction. When someone shows up as a blank slate, polite to a fault, always agreeable, always soft, it feels less like warmth and more like emotional absence. People are not drawn to absence. They are drawn to presence. They are drawn to a sense of aliveness, edges, contradictions, a grounded self. Nice guys rarely provide that because they are always curating themselves, always managing perceptions, always afraid that being honest might cost them love. Attraction demands risk, and risk is the one thing they cannot take. The resentment that grows in them is quiet but corrosive. They do everything right, or so they think, yet they still watch others get chosen. They treat people with devotion, but that devotion is tethered to a hope: if I am good enough, patient enough, endlessly accommodating, then one day someone will notice. But desire does not work on merit. It is not awarded like a certificate. The more they turn kindness into currency, the more people sense the pressure underneath it. No one wants to feel like they owe someone their affection. No one wants to carry that invisible debt. There is another truth that nice guys struggle to accept. When you never assert your needs, you train others to ignore them. When you hide your frustration, people believe you have none. When you swallow disappointment, those around you assume nothing is wrong. Niceness becomes a trap they build with their own hands. They think they are being selfless, but deep down they hope others will eventually read their mind, appreciate their sacrifices, and reciprocate. When that does not happen, they feel betrayed. Yet they are the ones who built a relationship on silence. The world responds differently to men who carry themselves with a sense of clarity. People trust those who can say no. People are drawn to those who can take up space without apology. You do not need to be loud or aggressive to be respected. You just need to be rooted. Nice guys mistake gentleness for erasure. They believe boundaries will make them unlikable, that honesty will scare people away. The irony is that boundaries create safety, and honesty creates trust. You cannot be chosen if you refuse to exist. In romance, this pattern is even more visible. Attraction is not built on convenience, it is built on tension, on emotional presence, on the sense that the person across from you is fully alive. Nice guys often expect attraction to grow from effort alone, as if affection is earned through loyalty. But attraction is not moral, it is instinctive. You can be a wonderful person and still not spark desire if you are hiding the parts of yourself that make you human. You can be generous and still be forgettable if you never let someone feel you. This is why nice guys lose. Not because they're good men, but because goodness becomes their disguise. They use it to hide fear, longing, insecurity, hunger, resentment. They offer comfort instead of depth. They offer predictability instead of presence. They offer availability without mystery, devotion without selfhood. And in the end, what they hope will make them chosen is what makes them invisible. The path out is not to swing to the opposite extreme, to become hardened or indifferent. The real work is learning to be kind without disappearing, to be honest without fearing rejection, to let conflict exist without feeling threatened by it. It is learning that people are drawn to someone who knows themselves, not someone performing a version of themselves for approval. When kindness flows from authenticity instead of fear, it stops being a strategy and becomes a genuine expression of who you are. Nice guys lose because they are not showing up as themselves. They are showing up as who they think the world wants. The moment they stop doing that, everything changes.